Okay, it's 3 o'clock and I would like to welcome everyone to the July meeting of the rural city of Wangaratta. Clause 24 of the governance rules provides the following. This public meeting is being recorded to improve access to the meeting for our community. The recording will be published and will be retained by Council in accordance with Council's legal obligations. As a visitor in the public gallery, your presence may be recorded. Item 1, the acknowledgement. It's my privilege to respectfully acknowledge the traditional custodians of our wonderful country. We give our thanks to all our ancestors whose vision, determination, innovation and resilience has built our prosperous, inclusive and democratic country. People who have served and defended us. We acknowledge that we are the proud inheritors of this legacy and we accept the challenge to continue to nourish and nurture our communities. And we pledge to work to implement and enhance opportunities for the benefit of future generations, our children and their children into the future. Item 2, which is our opening prayer. Almighty God, we humbly ask Thee to bless and guide this council in its deliberations so that we may truly preserve the welfare of the people that we serve. I'll now move to item number 5, which is the acceptance of apologies and granting of leave of absence. And I have an apology for Councillor Maxwell, who is currently on leave. Would someone like to move that we accept that? Councillor Fuller and Councillor Fitzpatrick. Councillors, are we all comfortable with accepting the? Thank you. We now then move to item number 7, which is the confirmation of minutes. And we have a recommendation that we have read and confirmed the minutes of the meeting of the 23rd of June. Councillor Fuller.
Chair, I'll move them with the slight edits to the present and apologies for the June meeting in the future edition of the minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Fuller. Someone to second, but we need to detail what those changes will be.
In addition, Madam Mayor, the present councillors does need to be changed to include Councillor Fuller and I were attending the meeting by teams.
Yes.
Actually.
Right. With those changes, councillors, are we happy to move the minutes? Very good. We now move to item number 8, which is the conflict of interest disclosures. And councillors, do we have any items of conflict? I will read, it's noted for the record that several councillors have or may have extended family members, and this refers to the agenda item with regard to the aged care. And it's noted for the record that several councillors have or may have extended family members, being extended family members who do not fall within the definition of family member under the Local Government Act 2020, who received aged care services in the municipality. This does not qualify as a conflict of interest under the Local Government Act. There is S129B. There is an exemption for any interest that is held in common with a substantial proportion of the residents, ratepayers or electors of the municipal district and does not exceed the interest held by other residents, ratepayers or electors. So that just clarifies that position with regard to conflict of interest. I then move to item number 11, which is councillor reports, and we have 3 on the agenda today. So I'll ask Councillor Fuller to give his report, please.
Thank you for the opportunity to report on my attendance in Canberra at the National General Assembly in June in conjunction with Councillor Winters. Whilst I participated in one of the 3 days, they stayed for the whole Congress, and I appreciate their participation in the undertaking to read some 240 odd motions and the voting process. We were fortunate enough to attend the Regional Councils Forum together, and it was a day consisting of 5 sessions and networking opportunities. Session 1 spoke to the notion of disaster management fatigue and a rising level of burden on regional and rural councils to shoulder multiple events. It initially included an introduction to the AusAlert federal system, which was tested yesterday and to be launched in October, all going to plan. Hopefully most of you received that test alert yesterday afternoon. The panel then spoke to a number of topics about disaster management, and the two key pieces of terminology that stood out to me were accumulative cognitive exhaustion and betterment. The exhaustion referred to how we are facing more and more extreme weather events on multiple frequent basis, with factors such as climate vulnerability and the impact of climate change leading to a series of events that don't give us a proper amount of time to recover in between. For example, off the back of a drought, there may be heavy rainfall situation that washes away the feed and crops. The second topic to stand out was betterment and is highly relatable for regional and rural councils, in which an event such as a flood destroys an asset such as a bridge, and we as an entity are funded to replace said asset. We are in actual fact often when we need betterment. This would mean that instead of replacing that bridge like for like, it is better engineered to reduce the likelihood of a repeat loss. The exhausting example of this came from the mayor of a nearby shire, Murrindindi, which, following a major flood, hundreds of thousands of dollars was spent replacing a bridge that was then swept away not long after the reopening, creating a need for more money to replace it again. With climate variability a growing financial risk, we know events are more likely to occur off the back of another natural disaster, and proactively adapting to extreme events and mitigating risks impacting us is a smarter way to plan asset management. Session 2, we continue to explore the environment and the state of the regions in terms of population growth. Of particular interest was the notion of urban sprawl and a finite supply of land available for housing and population. It begged the question of what might be sensible and sustainable alternatives. With major metropolitan spaces already nearing capacity, it looks to regional growth centres, particularly nearby locations such as Wodonga, Shepparton and Bendigo even, but we still have a hard housing target preempted by state government. What role does Wangaratta play in absorbing an estimated population doubling? Perhaps the answer is up, and consideration may be required for a future lens on growth to look at the rise of 2 to 3 levels of apartments above our commercial and retail spaces. Session 3 touches on roads, but was heavily weighted towards the freight industry, pun intended. We heard from a company completing a load of telemetrics on regional and rural roads in order to assist councils to better understand and advocate for specific upgrades to heavy use roads. Safety of drivers, transporters and the longevity of roads becoming an equation of risk, usage and sensible road design. During session 4, Councillor Winters and I were actually attending the June meeting via Zoom or Teams, so we missed that session. And the final session of the day was a focus on health and in particular the mental health of farmers. We heard from the founder of Shedway, a champion female shearer who worked out shearers and perhaps blokes in general don't like to talk about their feelings, but instead of simply accepting that, they took action to remedy. When prompted in the right way, farmers might just open up. Some years later, and a bale of chats under their belt, they now no longer just shear, they travel the country encouraging shearers alike to share conversations, offering training in mental health first aid and generally getting people to open up. To round out the day, I attended the local government exhibition with a number of trades and suppliers for the industry, while networking with colleagues from Indigo, Federation and other regional neighbours. I'm grateful for the rural city of Wangaratta for their support to attend.
Thank you, Councillor Fuller. Councillor Winters, you've got a report.
Yes, thank you so much, Madam Mayor. This is working this time. Excellent. In June, Councillor Fuller and I had the privilege of representing the rural city of Wangaratta at the Australian Local Governments Association's National Gallery Assembly in Canberra, and we were invited to provide a councillor report to share some of our key learnings from that experience. The National Gallery Assembly, or NGA, is Australia's largest gathering of local government leaders. Over 3 days, it brings together councillors, mayors, CEOs and local government professionals from across the country to discuss the issues shaping our communities, share innovative ideas and advocate collectively to the Australian government on matters affecting local government. It was a privilege to attend alongside Councillor Fuller, and I'd like to thank him for his report. I'd like to focus on one presentation that has stayed with me because I believe it raises an important question for the future of regional communities like ours. The presentation centred on Australia's changing population. One projection suggested our population could roughly double over the next century. At the same time, Australians are expected to have fewer children, while the number of Australians over the age of 80 will double. That means we may see changing demand for childcare, schools and junior sporting clubs, while demand for healthcare, aged care and support services is expected to continue growing. It left me thinking, how will our health system respond when there are twice as many Australians over the age of 80? In regional Victoria, we're already experiencing workforce shortages across health and aged care. If we're simultaneously seeing fewer people aged 18 to 40 choosing to live and work in regional communities, where will the next generation of nurses, allied health professionals, personal care workers and support staff come from? Now, I want to be clear, I absolutely love that young people finish school and they head off for an adventure. They might take a gap year, they might move to Melbourne or interstate to go to uni. They might want to travel the world or pursue careers in industries that simply don't exist in regional communities. And that's exciting and something that we should be celebrating. But it also leaves me wondering, how do we make sure that in the rural city of Wangaratta, it is such a vibrant, exciting and inspiring place to grow up that once people have the opportunity to explore, build careers and experience life beyond Wang, they choose to come home. Maybe they come back with a partner, maybe they come back to raise a family, and so their children can enjoy the same opportunities they had growing up. Maybe they come back because this is where they want to build their future. I literally walked away from the session and asked my fellow councillors, how can the choices I make today as a local councillor help make sure Wangaratta is a place people want to return to, a place with opportunity, connection, belonging and a strong sense of community. Attracting people to our region is important, but creating the kind of community that people choose to come home to is, I think, something even more powerful. One of the other strong messages from the presentation was the role migration will play in Australia's future in supporting essential industries, filling workforce shortages and helping regional communities continue to thrive. For Wangaratta, that means thinking about creating a community where people genuinely feel welcome. I certainly don't pretend to have all the answers, but I do believe these are the right questions to be asking. And as we move into our second half of this council term, I look forward to continuing these conversations with my fellow councillors, our officers and our community, because the decisions we make today will shape the Wangaratta that the future generations will inherit. Thank you.
And that's certainly true of the rural city of Wangaratta. Thank you, Councillor Winters. My report's a little bit closer to home. And on behalf of the rural city of Wangaratta and our wider municipality, I'd like to acknowledge the significant contribution to the community by the Wangaratta, South Wangaratta CFA. This year, this group celebrated 125 years of operation. Since 1901, the South Wangaratta CFA has worked to keep our community and the environment safe from the devastation of fire, as well as helping our local landholders to keep their properties fire ready and fire safe. For me, it was especially noteworthy that this group has been in operation for 125 years. There are few local organisations that have been in operation for this length of time. But what is also really worthy of applause is that the South Wangaratta CFA is a volunteer organisation. And to me, that is a significant achievement to be making that contribution for 125 years. Now, through the Depression, through the war, and now at a time when volunteers are hard to come by. It's really hard to, also keep them on board. I attended the celebration of 125 years last week and was pleased to see so many young people, young volunteers who are keeping up the good work of their parents and their grandparents and other committed members of the South Wangaratta community. Their efforts strengthen our community connection and our well-being, whilst also preserving our link to local history, and well done to everyone at the Wangaratta South CFA. So, councillors, I'd like someone to move that we accept the reports. Councillor Bussell, thank you. Someone to second, Councillor Fitzpatrick. Councillors, are we all in agreement? Thank you. The councillor reports have been received. Now, mindful of the audience and the officers' reports, I'm going to ask if a councillor would move the standing orders to bring forward the item that I think is in everyone's interest to be part of. So would someone like to move that, Councillor Fuller? Someone to second? Councillor Benton. So it's item 14.2. We'll bring that forward, the standing orders on that. Councillors, we're all in agreement to bring that forward. Thank you. So we now will address item 14.2, which is aged care service review.
Thank you, Mayor. This report seeks Council's approval to commence a staged exit from direct delivery of aged care service programs, Support at Home, Commonwealth Home Support Program, Veterans Home Care, and Home and Community Care Program for younger people. Council's assessment services are not impacted by this change. The recommendation responds to a major sector change, including Aged Care Act 2024, strengthening quality standards and shifting the move for a competitive fee service funding environment. These changes have significantly increased the compliance, governance, workforce and clinical requirements of aged care providers. Internal and independent reviews have confirmed Council's current service delivery model is no longer financially sustainable and presents an increasing risk across governance, compliance, workforce and clinical delivery. Continuing to provide services would require significant investment and reform with limited likelihood of achieving long-term sustainability within the required timeframes. At the June Council 2026 confidential meeting, Council considered an internal report and approved officers to commence consultation and transition planning in relation to the proposed staged exit. A consultation period has now been completed and councillors have been provided with feedback received from affected staff members. The feedback from staff was generally understanding of the reasons for the proposed change, particularly the financial, compliance and regulatory risks facing council. However, staff expressed disappointment and sadness about the potential exit from the service. They've been valued by clients, families and the broader community over many years. Staff also highlighted the importance of clear communication, client-centred transition planning and support for employees affected by the proposed change. The stage exit timelines will be finalised once the council decision has been reached. At this stage, the anticipated transition timelines for Support at Home are September 2026 and CHISP, VHC and HAC PYP June 2027. I'd also like to take a quick second to acknowledge the staff who've continued to support our clients during this very difficult period and also the clients themselves. We fully understand that this is a really difficult situation to be put in. And very much appreciate the way that you have continued to fulfil your roles and support our clients. The recommendation is that Council approves the staged exit from direct delivery aged care programs, notes that a period of consultation, which is missing from the recommendation, has been completed and that councillors have been provided with the feedback received, endorses officers to proceed with a transition planning, stakeholder communications and implementing of the staged exit, including communication with clients, staff, contractors, unions, funding bodies and relevant government departments.
Thank you, Director Goonan. Before I ask Council to consider the recommendation, is there a question from the audience on this particular item? If not, councillors, would someone like to move the recommendation? Councillor Fitzpatrick? Someone to second, please. Councillor Russell, thank you. And that's with the addition of the word consultation in the recommendation. Thank you. Councillor Fitzpatrick, would you like to speak?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to take a moment to acknowledge and condemn the comments from Director Goonan.
Commend, I think commend.
Sorry, yes, thank you. As councillors, we have a duty of care to our residents, to this organisation and the community we are privileged to serve. It is with this responsibility that has guided my decision to support Council's exit from delivering our aged care services. And it is not a decision I have made lightly. This decision has followed careful consideration of our responsibility to ensure Council can continue delivering high quality services to our community while maintaining the long-term sustainability for our organisation. As major sector changes, including the Aged Care Act 2024, as Director Gruner pointed out, and community needs continue to evolve and the operating environment becomes increasingly complex, we must make the decisions that position Council to meet its broader responsibilities, both now and into the future. I want to acknowledge the people most directly affected by this recommended decision, our aged care clients, their families, and our dedicated staff. To our clients and their loved ones, I thank you for your trust that you've placed in Council over the many years. And I recognise that change can bring uncertainty, and that if it is passed, I know our team is committed to supporting you through this transition with care, respect, and clear communication that you all deserve. Our aged care staff, I offer my sincere gratitude. Your compassion, professionalism, and unwavering commitment have made a profound difference in the lives of so many people in our community. You've cared for our older residents with dignity, kindness, and respect, and your contribution has been absolutely exceptional. So I thank you for your dedication and care that you've shown every single day. I also want to acknowledge that this has been a difficult decision put forward. Decisions like this are never easy because they affect the people that we know, work alongside, and care deeply about. However, leadership requires us to make thoughtful and responsible decisions that are in the long-term interests of both our community and our organisation. While Council's role in delivering aged care services is recommended to change, our commitment to supporting our older residents and fostering an inclusive, connected and age-friendly community remains strong. I know we will continue to advocate for our older residents and work to ensure they remain valued, supported and able to participate fully in the community life. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Fitzpatrick. Would someone else like to either speak for or against Councillor Bussell?
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. Councillor Fitzpatrick has given a wonderful speech there, and there's not much more that I can add other than to thank all of the staff, particularly the ones that's here today, for the great work that you have done, and we will support you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bussell. Someone else like to speak? Councillor Winters?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As Councillor Fitzpatrick said, this has been a really difficult decision. The reality is that following the significant changes and reforms in the aged care system, it's really no longer sustainable for Council to be operating within the current funding, regulatory and workforce requirements. We've had increased governance, compliance and clinical risks, and we've seen many other councils in Victoria step away from direct service delivery as well. Look, I'm satisfied that there are multiple aged care providers operating in the region, that Council will work hard to make sure there's a smooth transition from our clients and their carers and families and with staff. I support that this will be a staged approach, and I want to acknowledge that this has been stressful and at times frustrating process for clients, staff and community members. And I would like to thank everyone for their feedback over the last few weeks. I'll be supporting this motion.
Thank you, Councillor Winters. Would anyone else like to speak either for or against? As has been stated today, this has been a very, very difficult decision and one that has required significant consideration and consultation. We're reassured by the fact that the aged care services has become a crowded space in recent years. And we need to understand the impact on local government through legislation, funding and regulation. It's been significant and it will become more so into the future. And, you know, I think what's also quite apparent is that there's no guarantee that we could or would be sustainable into the future. And as Councillor Winters mentioned, you know, the rural city of Wangaratta remains one of few local governments in Victoria that is still in the delivering aged care services. so that, you know, we've understood the feedback from the community has focused on the need for a staged and supported transition out of the service, and that's what's going to happen. And this applies equally to the client support as well as workforce care. And the rural city of Wangaratta is committed to ensuring the best outcomes possible for the people who rely on aged care services in our community. There is an important duty of care to the clients who have been part of the service delivered, obviously also to the staff, and I would also like to thank the staff for their commitment, and I think this has been one of the reasons why the rural city of Wangaratta has stayed in the services for so long, is because of the quality of service that the staff have delivered. So we have not made this decision lightly or easily, and, you know, thank everyone again for their commitment. So, councillors, we have a recommendation that's been put forward by Councillor Fitzpatrick, seconded by Councillor Bustle. Councillors, are we all in favour? It's 6-1. Councillor Fuller, do you want to call a division? No. The recommendation's been carried. So thank you. We will need to have a mover to resume standing orders, and those in the audience that wish to leave, you have the opportunity to do so now. And my maths is pretty bad. It's 5-1. Okay, can we have someone to move that we resume the standing orders? Councillor Benton, someone to second. Councillor Winters, thank you. Councillors, are we all in agreement to move back to item 12.1? Thank you, councillors. So we now consider 12.1, which is the reappointment of a director to the Wangaratta Livestock Exchange, Director of Corporate and Leisure.
Thank you, Mayor. The Livestock Exchange is a wholly owned subsidiary of Council, overseen by the Wangaratta Livestock Exchange, or WLE board, and the board appoints directors to its membership. This report has two purposes. The first one is to seek councillor endorsement of the reappointment of one of the existing members of the board for a further 2-year term. And the second is just to note changes to the membership of the board, with John Maraca, who has been a long-standing director and chair during his tenure of the board and since it was created. So we acknowledge his service to the Livestock Exchange and the community with great thanks from Council. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Brindley. Councillors, we have an item. Who'd like to move that? Oh, question to the audience. I was remiss. Would anyone like to ask a question on this particular item? If not, I will ask Councillor Benton to move.
I'll move the recommendation, Mayor.
Yep, and someone to second, and Councillor Bustle to second. Councillor Benton, would you like to speak to the recommendation?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Yes, I'd like to acknowledge the retirement of John Maraca, and since the inception of the board, to get this up and running, he was the inaugural chairman of the board, and I think he's done an exceptional job. It was a bit of a rough, rocky road to start off with, but we got there with the standalone committee. So, and to reappoint the director is give some sort of stability to what the board is about, because he's also a long-standing member. I just want to put some facts and data. At the moment, the last 12 months, the report for the Wangaratta Livestock Exchange was a total income of over $1 million in revenue and a net profit of $284,000. It's got to a situation when I can remember in 2010, it was on the dice whether this facility would even keep going. It has now surpassed and possibly got to the record level of 62,000 head of cattle have gone through that facility in the last 12 months. And that's a report that comes back to the AEC report, was on a trajectory to get to 70,000 cattle, and we're 8,000 short at this point in time. With a reduction in the prime sales, it's a magnificent achievement, and the direction that they've taken down there, I think, should be applauded. Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Benton. Would someone like to speak, Councillor Basil?
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. So I just want to applaud the work and the structure, how successful this has been for the rural city of Wangaratta. And as a farmer, it is just so important to have a livestock exchange. And just to add a little bit of the stats to what Councillor Benton said, at 62,000. When council run this facility, it was around 20,000. So that's how far they've brought this facility. It's just truly amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Basil. Would someone else like to speak either for or against the recommendation? If not, councillors, moved by Councillor Benton and then Councillor Basil to second. Are we all in agreement, councillors? It's been carried unanimously. Director Brindley, I go back to you to disclose the appointee.
Yep. The reappointed director is Chris Roach.
Thank you very much. Councillors, we now move to item 13.1, which is the municipal boundary realignment, 2946 Mansfield Whitfield Road, Tolmy.
Thank you. So this is a fairly administrative report regarding 2946 Mansfield Whitfield Road. That property spans the border between the rural city of Wangaratta and Mansfield Shire, but with 3 of the 4 lots being within Wangaratta, and the property owners have requested a border realignment just to have that 4th lot brought within the rural city of Wangaratta. So the report is presented to councillors to approve and support that boundary realignment request, so that it can then be followed up with the Minister for Local Government to make that minor boundary change. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Brindley. Is there a question from the audience on this particular item? If not, councillors, we have a recommendation. Would someone like to move that we accept the recommendation? Councillor Basil, thank you. Second, Councillor Winters. Councillor Basil, would you like to speak to the recommendation?
Yes, thanks, Madam Mayor. This little tiny sliver of land that's right up the end of the rural city of Wangaratta, it is administrative, but I'd also like to acknowledge and thank the Mansfield Shire for leading the way. So thank you to them.
Yes. Councillor Winters, would you like to speak? Yes, absolutely. You know, sometimes these realignments can come with a whole lot of administrative nightmare, but this has been pretty straightforward. So, you know, thank you to Mansfield for, you know, making things easy for the ratepayers. So we've got the item moved by Councillor Basil, seconded by Councillor Winters. Councillors, all in agreement? It's been carried unanimously. Thank you. We now move to item 13.2, leasing and licensing policy for 2026.
Thank you. So the last time the leasing and licensing policy was reviewed was in 2019, so it's well due to be updated. That review has been undertaken, and then also community engagement undertaken, in particular with the current tenants of council owned and managed property. And the feedback from that community engagement has been provided in the report. The draft policy has had one amendment or update made to reflect the feedback from that community engagement and is presented to councillors today to consider adopting. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Brindley. Is there a question from the audience on this particular item? If not, councillors, we have a recommendation. Would someone please move? Councillor Winters, thank you. Someone to second? Councillor Benton. Councillor Winters, would you like to speak to this recommendation?
Yes, thank you. There are around 100 sporting groups, charities, community groups, government entities and businesses that do have occupancy agreements for land and property that's managed by council. I'm happy to see that there is an equitable approach with this updated policy. I'm also happy to see the addition of the provision that council officers will be available to be contacted to discuss potential support for these groups that may experience financial difficulty during this transition. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Winters. Councillor Benton.
Yes, I just like to reiterate what Councillor Winters said, but you do understand there is a lot of complexities out there with the leasings of certain buildings and certain pubs, and it will take a little bit of time to work through those. And I think patience on both sides will be very much appreciated, because there is some very complex, as I've said, issues in trying to, each is not the same, and just be patient as we work through this in the next 12 months, 18 months, and whatever it takes. But I hope it's just a respectful way it's been going to be done, and I think it's been well overdue. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Benton. Would someone else like to either speak for or against the recommendation? And I think it is worth knowing that there's been extensive public engagement on this particular issue, and there'll also be the opportunity for groups to meet one-on-one with councillor officers to work through their particular issues. So, it's something that we're going to work through, and that asking people to be patient at this particular time. So we have a recommendation moved by Councillor Winters and seconded by Councillor Benton. Councillors, are we all in agreement? Yes, it's been carried. Thank you, councillors. We now move to item 14.1, which is the Municipal Early Years Plan.
Thank you, Mayor. This report is presented to Council to seek adoption of the Municipal Early Years Plan 26 to 30. The plan provides a strategic direction for Council's role in supporting children aged 0 to 12 years and their families across the rural city, with a focus on health, wellbeing, learning and development, family and community support, and support for connected communities. The draft plan was released for public consultation on the 23rd of March. During that public consultation, there was 182 visits to the Council Community Connect page. 39 documents were downloaded, with 4 community members providing written feedback. The feedback was generally positive, with 2 community members providing suggested changes. The recommendation is that Council adopts the Municipal Early Years Plan 26 to 30.
Thank you, Director Goonan. Is there a question from the audience on this particular item? If not, councillors, Councillor Fitzpatrick, you're going to move. Someone to second, please. Councillor Benton. Councillor Fitzpatrick, would you like to speak?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Our Municipal Early Years Strategy is an important document for our community. It offers a strong roadmap outlining our shared vision for supporting our children and families to thrive from birth, kindergarten, school and beyond, that every child starts life with the best possible foundation and is supported to reach their full potential. And I just want to thank everyone who took the time to provide us feedback on the strategy, and also acknowledge the staff who contributed to developing this document. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Fitzpatrick. Councillor Benton, would any other councillor like to speak either for or against this particular item? If not, our Municipal Early Years Plan has gone out for consultation. Now we're moving that we accept the plan. Councillor Fitzpatrick moved and Councillor Benton second. Are we all in agreement, councillors? Thank you, that's been carried. We now move to item, we don't have, to item 21, which is public question time. And I have a couple of questions from public questions, and the first question is been submitted by Amanda Hogan, who I note is in the audience. The rural city of Wangaratta has developed a draft Reflect Reconciliation Action Plan to foster respectful, inclusive and ongoing engagement with Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities. The process of consultation suggests that the feedback received about the draft RAP has been considered, and the intention is to submit to Reconciliation Australia and, once approved, present the plan to Council for formal adoption. The draft RAP was presented to our community in February this year for feedback. And question 1 asks, what was the outcome of the community consultation? And question 2 says, when will the RAP be returned to Council for consideration? And my response is that, thank you for the interest in this work. Council has received a number of community submissions to the draft Reconciliation Action Plan, and we are still considering the feedback received and briefing councillors on the proposed next steps. The report is being prepared to this matter and will be considered at a future council meeting, potentially the August meeting. So the next meeting of council, we will be considering the Reconciliation Action Plan. The second question was submitted by Luke Davies. In regard to the compost that council produces via our green bin waste in 2 parts. Recently, the council made the compost available to local community groups. Was this offer taken up? And second, recently council asked for expression of interest from businesses receiving or distributing compost from the FOGO program. Will this include charities that can buy the product at a reduced rate and then sell it on to raise funds for their local charity? Example, Lions, Apex clubs, or even smaller groups. And I'll ask Director Goonan to respond to this, please.
Thank you. To answer the first question, the Compost Give Back program ended in May. We received 15 applications and selected 3 recipients. To date, the compost has been delivered to 1 recipient, with the remaining 2 deliveries pending more suitable weather conditions. Answer to the second question, we are currently seeking suppliers for our FOGO compost soil conditioner distribution program. The expression of interest process closes on the 27th of the 8th. There's a website link, etc. We are seeking commercial distribution networks as we're not set up for small scale distribution.
Thank you, Director Goonan. I'll now open public question time to the audience, and if there's someone who would like to ask a question, to come forward, state your name, ask a question, and we'll do our best to respond. Come forward and state your name, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just made it in time. And I want to thank Council for the last time I was here. I asked a question about advice when the transfer station was open. And I got to say to you now, we have a display board with the times displayed, which I'm very pleased about, and thank you. My question today is related to the recent lack of foot traffic in the CBD. And I would like to ask, would Council consider creating more designated busking spots and to make them free?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Fox.
Thank you.
I'll ask Director Swart to provide a response.
Thank you for that question, Mr. Fox. Council has a number of designated busking spots around the CBD. They are marked by signage and also stickers on the ground. I'm pretty sure they are already free. And the other thing that we did is we made sure that the application process for those are pretty easy and you can just complete them online in a few minutes. I am not certain how well they are used, and we can certainly look at that to see if there's a need for further busking spots.
Thank you, Director Swart, and perhaps in response to Mr. Fox, that it's usual that during winter the foot traffic does seem to reduce in the CBD. I know that the council eco development officers are working with the business community to look at ways to boosting the traffic and improving the retail offer in the rural city of Wangaratta. So thank you for your question. Do we have any other questions? Come forward, state your name, please.
Thank you, councillors and Mayor. My name's Marty Hogan. My question relates a little bit back to item 13.2, the leasing and licensing policy, and I noticed with interest that there's quite a detailed summary of the community engagement information that you gathered in a reasonably rapid period of time from its release, maybe 28 days. It was on display seeking information. And my question is probably twofold. Why hasn't that standard been applied to the community feedback that was sought with regards to the RAP? Question one. And question two, will the community be able to see a detailed summary of the submissions that were submitted by the community with regards to the RAP in a similar format to what we have here with that you presented for the leasing and licensing policy?
Well, the short answer to that, Mr. Hogan, yes, you will, and that is when it goes to council. And as I said earlier, we anticipate that it will go before council at the August meeting, and so you will get a report similar to what you see there, and there will be recommendations for the councils to consider. And with the background of the information that we've gained over a period of time.
And question, my first part of that question was, and why weren't the standards of the 28-day turnaround of the supplying that information?
We didn't undertake a 28-day turnaround. It was left deliberately open to give people time to feed back into the Reconciliation Action Plan proposal.
And is 6 months usual for those sort of
well, it's not usual. It's not usual that we consider that plan at council. So we were giving it extra time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillors, the audience, do we have any other questions from the public? Yes, come forward. No? If we don't have any other questions from the audience, I'd like to thank everyone for their attendance here today. We've had, quite a considerable decision to make today, and councillors have put a huge amount of effort and consideration into their decision. So I thank everyone for the work that they've put in, and I will now officially close the meeting. Thank you.